Militam Jena Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupagada Mayam Dadati Swabhadantikam Vandeham Siguro Sijuta Padakamalam Siguro Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sadrujatam Sahagana Ragavatan Mitantam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Gapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapachubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devam Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Preshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Shevaya
Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya.
Bhagavaritama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki.
Bhagavate Naistaki.
So today is Thursday, November 7th, 2024. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 24, Chanting the Song, sung by Lord Shiva, text number 74. Atedam nityada yukto
Atedam nityada yukto.
Japanavahita puman
Japanavahita puman.
Achirach treya apnoti
Ashirashreya apnoti.
Vasudeva parayanaha
Vasudeva parayana.
Atedam nityada yukto
Atedam nityada yukto.
Japanavahita puman
Japanavahita puman.
Achirach treya apnoti
Ashirashreya apnoti.
Vasudeva parayanaha
Vasudeva parayana.
Atedam nityada yukto
Atedam nityada yukto.
Japan avahita puman
Japanavahita puman.
Achirach treya apnoti
Ashirashreya apnoti.
Vasudeva parayanaha
Vasudeva parayana. Atedam nityada yukto.
Atedam nityada yukto
Japanavahita puman.
Japanavahita puman
Ashirashreya apnoti.
Achirach treya apnoti
Vasudeva parayana.
Vasudeva parayanaha Atedam nityada yukto Japanavahita puman Achirach treya apnoti Vasudeva parayana Atedam nityada yukto Japanavahita puman Ashirach Treya Apnoti Vasudeva Parayana Ajayam Nityada Yukto Javanavahita Puman Achirach Treya Apnoti Vasudeva Parayana. That third line is a little tricky because it's Achirach Treya Apnoti. So it's got the cha-cha. That's the cha-cha. Achirach Treya Apnoti. Okay, the word for word. Please repeat. Ata, thus. Idam, this. Nityada, regularly. Yuktaha, with great attention. Japan, by murmuring. That's Japan, not Japan. But there's one book about all these names of places in the world that come from Vedic culture. And Japan is the place, Japan, where they chant japa. So that's very interesting. Avahitaha, fully attentive. Puman, a person. Achirat, without delay. Shreyaha, auspiciousness. Apnoti, achieves. Vasudeva Parayanaha, one who is a devotee of Lord Krishna. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. A devotee of Lord Krishna, whose mind is always absorbed in Him, who with great attention and reverence chants this stotra, prayer, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay. Please repeat. A devotee of Lord Krishna, whose mind is always absorbed in Him, who with great attention and reverence chants this stotra, prayer, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Perfection means becoming a devotee of Lord Krishna. As stated in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 1-28, Vasudeva Para Veda, Vasudeva Para Makaha. The ultimate goal of life is Vasudeva or Krishna. Any devotee of Lord Krishna can attain all perfection, material gains, and liberation simply by offering prayers to Him. That's very interesting, isn't it? There are many varieties of prayers to Lord Krishna, chanted by great sages and great personalities, such as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Lord Krishna is known as Shiva Varinchi Natam, from Bhagavatam 11.533. Shiva means Lord Shiva, and Varinchi means Lord Brahma. Both of these demigods are engaged in offering prayers to Lord Vasudeva, Krishna. If we follow in the footsteps of such great personalities and become devotees of Lord Krishna, our lives will become successful. Unfortunately, people do not know this secret. They do not know that the real interest and the highest perfection of life is to worship Lord Vishnu, Krishna. That is Bhagavatam 7.5.31. It is impossible to become satisfied by trying to adjust the external energy. Without being a devotee of Lord Krishna, one can only be baffled and confused. What other explanation is there for the election? Baffled, confused. To save living entities from such a calamity, Lord Krishna points out in Bhagavad Gita 7:19, Bahunam janmanam ante yanavanamam prabhujyate Vasudeva savamiti samahatma sudurlabha. After many, many births and deaths, A wise man surrenders unto me, knowing very well that I, Vasudeva, am everything. Such a great soul is very rare. We can achieve whatever benediction we want simply by becoming devotees of Vasudeva. Nice conclusive statement there to wrap up the purport. Atedam nityada yukto japan avahita puman achirachreya apnoti Vasudeva parayanaha. A devotee of Lord Krishna, whose mind is always absorbed in him, who with great attention and reverence chants this stotra, prayer, will achieve the greatest perfection of life without delay. Mukum karoti vachalam, pangam lagayate girim, jadkripa tamaham vande, digurun dinatarinu. So this is the section of the chapter where the prayers of Lord Shiva have been chanted, which he heard from Lord Brahma. And so this concluding section is, as was pointed out by Sureshwar Prabhu, is known as the Palashruti, or that is the concluding part of the chapter, or the prayers, that gives the benedictions of chanting the prayers. So here the benediction is giving that anyone who becomes a devotee and chants this stotra with great attention, yukta and avaita, fully attentive, and by japam, murmuring the prayer. So japa means to chant quietly, personally for oneself. That's japa, mentioned in Bhagavad Gita too. Prabhupada says here, murmuring, not shouting, not making all kinds of weird noises, carrying on in different ways, but simply focusing and chanting. As around Prabhupada used to say that he would chant on his beads very quietly, and you would hear the clicking of the beads, the rattling of the beads in his bead bag more than you would hear him chanting the japa. So he's chanting rather quietly. Also, that's said in different places, in Chaitanya Charitamrita and other places, how the Brahmanas chant the Gayatri mantra by murmuring that. I know devotees tend to chant it completely silently, but that is not murmuring. That's just chanting within the mind. But also one chants the Gayatri mantras by murmuring. That is stated. So that is japa. Chanting, not just in the mind, but with some vocalization, but not shouting or, one devotee was chanting japa extremely loud, extremely, like practically shouting. And that's the way he chanted his japa. He was shouting. And then someone asked him, "Why are you shouting?" He said, "I'm trying to chant louder than the carryings on of my mind, which are very loud." Your mileage may vary, but enough said about that. So, very wonderful purport here by Srila Prabhupada, as are all his purports, but particularly we find in this chapter, it's just an amazing chapter because the purports are really rock'em sock'em powerhouse, power-packed, full of realization, just really powerful and potent purports, especially so, although all Prabhupada's purports are potent, but the potency in this chapter is Prabhupada really just socks it home very nicely, and this purport is no exception. So he's making the point that whatever it is that you want to achieve in life, whatever desires you may harbor within, your heart. Some may be auspicious, some may not be auspicious. There may be many, those are called Bhadra or Abhadra. Abhadra, the inauspicious things within the heart. Bhadra means auspicious, like Subhadra. Su means good, Bhadra means auspicious. So she's very, very nicely auspicious. But then there's Abhadra, and the Abhadra is cleansed from the heart, according to the second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, by hearing and chanting. That these inauspicious things become reduced to practically nil by Srinvatam Swakata Krishna, by hearing and chanting about Krishna. So, and naturally one who becomes a devotee of Krishna, what do? They hear and chant about Krishna. That's what a devotee does. And that includes Krishna's pastimes and Krishna's name and meditating on Krishna's form, Madhurya Lila Guna Rupa Nam Nam. The spiritual master, he is Sri Radhika Madhavayora Para. He is engaged in this contemplation on Sri Radhika Madhava, the pastimes, the Lila, Guna, Rupa, and Nam Nam. The Lila, the pastimes, the Guna, the forms, the Nama, the names of Radha Madhava, Radhika and Madhava, Radha Krishna. Sri Radhika Madhavayora Para, Madhurya Lila, engaged in their wonderful loving pastimes, which is the most wonderful type of love. Everyone is interested in love in this world, but unfortunately, what everyone thinks is love in this world is actually not real love. It's a type of affection or attachment for sense gratification, but that is not real love. Chaitanya Charitamrita compares that ordinary material love, which is full of lust and hopes and dreams of some kind of sense gratification, is like iron, and that the pure spiritual love of Krishna and his devotees is like gold. So what's the big deal? I mean, iron is a metal, gold is a metal, but iron is everywhere. It is practical and is useful, but it is not so valuable compared to gold, which is much more rare, and gold is much prettier than iron and much more desirable.
So does it rust, right?
The gold doesn't rust. Spoken from a jeweler's point of view there. The example is given there not to denigrate iron, but to show the relative value between gold and iron. So gold is like extremely desirable and valuable and wonderful, and everyone wants the gold. And iron is very useful for, making cars and frying pans. Actually, no frying pan beats a cast iron frying pan, right? When I grew up, that's what they did. They made the cornbread in the cast iron frying pan. They cooked rice in the cast iron frying pan, and many other unmentionable things that we won't go into here are also cooked in that same frying pan. But the iron frying pan is very nice. But when it comes to beauty and decoration and higher things, then gold is wonderful. So lust or material love, the concept of love that pervades human society, is simply iron, and that the type of love that we find on the spiritual platform, it is like gold. It is very wonderful. So big difference between gold and iron. And Srila Prabhupada quotes this very nice verse from the first canto, second chapter. So I can dial it up here very quickly with my analog information device here called a book. And this is a very wonderful pair of verses from the first canto, second chapter, Divinity and Divine Service, a very powerful chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makaha, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriyaha, Vasudeva param Jnanam, Vasudeva param Tapaha, Vasudeva paro dharmo, Vasudeva paragatihi. So, the first line, Vasudeva para Veda, which Prabhupada quotes in the purport, says that Vasudev is para, the goal, the ultimate goal of Vedaha, of the Vedas, or the revealed scriptures. Vasudeva paramaka, that all sacrifices are meant for worshiping Vasudeva. Vasudeva parajoga, Krishna or Vasudeva is the means of attaining yogic perfection. Vasudeva parakriya, and that all activities, kriya means activities, Prabhupada specifically says fruitive activities, or the ordinary things we do in this world, are under the control of Vasudeva. Vasudeva parakriya. Vasudeva param jnanam, that the supreme knowledge is attainable through Vasudeva Krishna. So this is a very nice phrase, param jnanam. Sometimes in the restaurant they have the eggplant param gyan. Oh, wait a minute, that's not what that is. But that is the devotee term. That is because devotees see everything in terms of Krishna and transcendental knowledge and the Shastric eyes. So it becomes, instead of eggplant parmesan, becomes eggplant param gyan. And when you take that eggplant param gyan, which is offered to Krishna, then you achieve param gyan, the supreme knowledge. And if you want to achieve supreme knowledge and become enlightened, then you do that by worshiping Vasudeva. Vasudeva param jnanam. And Vasudeva param tapaha, that the best of all austerities are meant for pleasing Vasudeva. And Vasudeva para dharma, the superior quality of religion, is realized through worshiping Krishna. So that's paradharma. We had a devotee in Philly, her name was Paradharma. Nice name. This paradharma means the supreme religion. So what is that supreme religion? It's worshiping Krishna. It is the highest religion, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita also. And then finally, Vasudeva paragatihi. And gati means the goal. So the ultimate goal of everything is to achieve Krishna. So this is a very wonderful verse that sums up the perfection of everything that is there in existence when it's done in relationship to Krishna. And of course, that is the meaning of the devotee's life, is that everything is done for Krishna. One devotee I know used to say, everything for Krishna, nothing for Maya. So that is our guiding principle that we take from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Prabhupada says that all perfections and all material gains and liberation you can get by worshiping Krishna. And then the ears may perk up. What is that? All material gains? I like that part. But the devotee is not after material gains. Even though those things can be easily and freely bestowed by the Lord, who is in charge of such things. He is the Yogeshwara. He is the master of the universe. He can easily give you material gains. But if that's what you want, maybe you will get that, but then you won't get Krishna. Because we want to have our cake and eat it too, right? Oh Lord, give me, right? No, oh Lord, let me give to you. Let me serve you. As JFK used to say, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So that is the Massachusetts version of Krishna consciousness. Ask not what the Lord can do for you, but what can I do for you, Krishna? Not what Krishna can do for me. But because we're conditioned souls and we have so much reserve stock of material desires within our hearts, we want to ask Krishna, we want to propitiate God. Gimme, gimme, gimme. But the mood of the devotee is, no, oh Lord, let me give to you, let me give to you. So, sooner or later, that you quit praying for, material arrangements. I remember one devotee, who was a devotee from Hong Kong. Her and her husband, who was a Prabhupada disciple, had moved to Houston, and they didn't have much money, and but they needed a car. And then she was telling another devotee, I just happened to hear this, that I was praying to Krishna for a white car. And then by Krishna's mercy, he gave me a white car. And I was thinking, you're praying to Krishna for a white car? Okay. Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? My friends all drive Porsches. I must make amends. Worked hard all my life. So, but the mood of a devotee is surrender. And Krishna, let me serve you. That is the meaning of the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna. Oh, energy of the Lord. Krishna, and by chanting Hare Krishna, one becomes imbued with this consciousness that of Hare Krishna, service to Krishna. Let me serve you. And then in that process of serving Krishna, then you surrender and you don't have to worry about anything. That's the idea. Because Krishna is the Aishvaryasya Samagrasya. One of his opulences is that Aishvarya, he's the master and the owner, the controller of all opulences. So if you move into the house of a rich person, and then they say to you, okay, so everything in the house is here, use anything you want, here's a credit card, here's the keys to the car, just do whatever you want to do, you're good. That's what Krishna consciousness is like. You come under the shelter of the spiritual energy, Mahatmanastamam Partha, Daivam Prakritim Ashritaha. You take shelter under the transcendental spiritual energy of the Lord, Hare, and then whatever else needs to be done will be done. You don't have to worry about it. You simply have to serve Krishna. Now, in that serving to Krishna, you may make money. You may go out and make money. You may do that. You may work hard to make money. And usually making money requires working hard. Right? And if somebody takes birth in a rich family, they already did the hard work. They did it in their past life, and they're getting it. So anyway, it requires working hard. And if that needs to be done to serve Krishna, you can do that, or anything else that needs to be done. Actually, there's one song I think of, Nothing is Easy, a song by Jethro Tull from around 1970. Nothing is easy. So anything you want to do, it entails some endeavor, some frustration, some difficulty. Nothing is easy. There was also another song, I think it was by Ringo Starr. It don't come easy, you know, it don't come easy. So everything requires some endeavor. Even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that everyone has to work. No one can even live without working. You have to do some kind of work, make some kind of endeavor to take care of this body and provide the necessities and other things. But everything should be done not with the consciousness that I'm just doing this for myself, for my sense gratification, but everything I do, let me do it to serve Krishna. And that is the perfection of everything. So Prabhupada refers in the purport, so that means anything you want, you know, like you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Don't go to Alice's restaurant. Okay. There are so many Alice's restaurants everywhere. But anything you want, just serve Krishna, which is also stated in the second canto of the Bhagavatam. Akama sarvakama va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Yajeta purusham param just means worship that supreme person. Purusha means person, param, supreme. Yajeta, just worship Krishna. And then whether you have no desires, sarvakama va, or whether you're filled with all desires, which is the position of pretty much everyone. Or moksha kama udaradi, or if you're looking for liberation from all material suffering, looking for relief, whatever, udadadi, a person who has, D means intelligence, udadadi means broader intelligence, just worship Krishna. Tivrena bhakti yogena, just engage in bhakti, which is like tivra. Tivra means very powerful, like a ray of sunlight. And living here in Arizona, we know the sun is very powerful. It is constantly tearing our buildings apart. The roofs, the sun is very powerful. It's crackling the paint. It's making the bricks droop. It is so powerful. Tivrena bhakti yogena. The sun is so powerful that it can purify even a filthy place, like you have a pool of urine, which there are many such places on First Avenue especially. But the sun dries it up and purifies it and cleanses it because of its power, its potency. It's like, nuclear power. We need more nuclear power. Well, the sun is nuclear power. It's giving that potency, and it sustains everything and purifies everything. So Tivra Bhakti. There used to be a devotee in Florida, Miami, named Tivra Bhakti. So in the Prabhupada refers obliquely to this verse in the 11th canto. I'm going to read from there. Let's see what page that's on. And my analog computer here. This is from the 11th canto, chapter 5, which text 32 in that chapter is the famous Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangasta Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayer Yajantihi Sumeda Saha. That in this age of Kali, the Lord comes not in a blackish form, but he comes chanting the name of Krishna along with his weapons, his servants, his confidential companions, And Yogyai Sankirtana Prayer, those who engage in this Sankirtan movement, Yajantihi Sumeda Saha, they're the intelligent persons. One who has, Prabhupada says, Sumeda Saha, sufficient intelligence, will engage in worshiping the Lord through this Sankirtan process. So that is a very famous verse in the 5th chapter of the 11th canto. The next verse, there's actually a pair of verses, 33 and 34, which end with this, the last line of each verse is, Vande Mahapurusham Te Charanaravinda. These are also very well-known verses. And in text 34, let's see, which one is it? Oh yeah, the next one, text 33, Tirtas Padam Shiva Virinchi Nutam Saranyam. So that refers to Shiva and Virinchi, Lord Brahma. That's where Prabhupada is pulling this line that he refers to in the purport. So let me read these two verses, and actually maybe two more verses that are from this very powerful 11th canto, chapter 5. So text number 33, right after the Krishna Varnam verse, is Jayam Sada Padibhavanam Abhishtadoham Tirtaspadam Shiva Virinchi Nutam Sharanyam Vrityatriham Pranata Pala Bhababdipotam Vande Mahapurushate Charanara. My dear Lord, you are the Mahapurusha. Purusha means person and Maha means great. It's like Purusha, Purusham Param, the Supreme Person. Another way of saying that is Mahapurusha. You are the Mahapurusha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I worship your lotus feet, which are the only eternal object of meditation. Those feet destroy the embarrassing conditions of material life and freely award the greatest desire of the soul, the attainment of pure love of Godhead. My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the shelter of all holy places and of all saintly authorities in the line of devotional service, and are honored by powerful demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. My Lord, you are so kind that you willingly protect all those who simply bow down to you with respect, and you thus mercifully receive all the distress of your servants, relieve all the distress of your servants. In conclusion, my Lord, your lotus feet are actually the suitable boat for crossing over the ocean of birth and death, and therefore even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva seek shelter at your lotus feet. So what to speak of us? This is what Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are doing. Then it behooves us to follow their example as well, and every living entity, to take shelter at those lotus feet. And then the next verse, and remember this Krishna Varnam verse is referring to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appearing in the Kali Yuga and performing Sankirtan, and that the intelligent persons will also engage in the Sankirtan. So this is Bhagavatam describing the future appearance of Lord Chaitanya. So this next verse also talks about Lord Chaitanya. Jaktva sadusyaja sarepsitaraja lakshmim dharmishta archa vachasa yadagadharanyam maya mrigam daitye pshitam anuvasad vande mahapurusha te charanara vindam. O Mahapurusha, I worship your lotus feet. You gave up the association of the goddess of fortune and all her opulence, which is most difficult to renounce, and is hankered after even by the great demigods. Being the most faithful follower of the path of religion, you thus left for the forest in obedience to a Brahman's curse. Out of sheer mercifulness, you chased after the fallen conditioned souls, who are always in pursuit of the false enjoyment of illusion, and at the same time engaged in searching out your own desired object, Lord Shamasundar. That is a description also of Lord Chaitanya. He left his wife, Vishnu Priya. He had Lakshmi Priya, Vishnu Priya, goddesses of fortune. He walked away. He became a sannyasi, and he chased after the conditioned souls. Please take Krishna. Please take Krishna. Meanwhile, he was meditating on Krishna in the mood of Radharani. So these are very nice descriptions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, straight from the Bhagavatam. And there's one more, yes. So, and then there's another verse, text 36, very soon after that. Kalim sabha jayanti arya gunagya sarabhaginaha yatra sankirtane naiva sarvaswarto bilibhyate. Those who are actually advanced in knowledge are able to appreciate the essential value of this age of Kali. Such enlightened persons worship Kali Yuga because in this fallen age, all perfection of life can easily be achieved by the performance of Sankirtan. Easily achieved, all perfection, by performance of the Sankirtan Yajna. And then there's one more verse a little bit later in this chapter, which is an extremely famous verse that Prabhupada quotes a lot in his writings. And I'll quote that here. Divarshi bhutaptan rinim pritrinam na kinkaronayam rajita rajam sarvatmanaya saranyam gato mukundam parihritya kartam. O king, one who has given up all material duties and has taken full shelter at the lotus feet of Mukunda, who offer shelter to all, is not indebted to the demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankind, or even one's forefathers who have passed away. Since all such classes of living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, one who has surrendered to the Lord's service has no need to serve such persons separately. This is a great verse for detachment from one's family. Because some of us, we may have a tendency to be attached to our parents and family members and feel obliged to them in different ways. But here, this is saying that your obligations to your friends, your relatives, your family members, what to speak of, the demigods, the great sages, the forefathers, all those are taken care of or resolved by fully dedicating oneself to the lotus feet of Krishna. And therefore, there is no need to serve such persons separately. Whoa. That's a big one. So, let me see what else here. And Krishna gives this order to become a devotee to all living entities in the Bhagavad Gita. And also Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives the same order. Krishna says, both in the 9th chapter and in the 18th chapter, 934 and 1865, Manmana bhavamad bhakto majjaji mam namaskaru. So Manmana, think of me, bhavamad bhakto, become my devotee. Krishna is ordering. And it's not politely suggesting. It's in the imperative mode here. Manmana bhavamad bhakto. This is the order. Manmana, think of me. Bhavamad bhakto, become my devotee. Mam yaji mam namaskaru. Worship me. Yaji, we used this word earlier. Yajeta purusham param. Worshipping the Supreme Person. Yaji, offer your worship. And then what happens next? Mam evaisha shayuktvaimam atmanamat parayanaha. Then you will cross over everything difficult and easily come to me. Or as he says in the that's in the 934 and 1865, the first half of those two verses is the same. So he's repeating that. Manmana bhavamad bhakto. But then in the 18th chapter he says, Mam evaisasi satyam te pratijani priyosi me. That surely you will very easily come to me because you are very dear to me. Atmanamat parayanaha, or pratijani priyosi me. Priya means very dear. These are some thoughts and ideas in relation to today's verse, where Prabhupada has given us so much nectar of Krishna consciousness for our thoughtful perusal. So any questions, comments, or realizations for the person who just walked in the door?
Yeah, this is what we discussed in the class, what Prabhupada's last line in the purport. We can get it, whatever benediction we want, simply by becoming a devotee of Vasudeva. It almost sounds like a bribe. Why would you want a devotee doesn't want any benediction, except, of course, to serve him.
Well, that may not be the case in the beginning. It's a trick also. Just surrender to me and you can have everything. And then you surrender to Krishna and he takes everything away. Whoa, what happened? The supreme change-up artist is the supreme personality of Godhead. But still, it's a chincha beta beta tattva. You can get whatever you like, whatever desire you have, and then those desires will become purified. And ultimately, whatever desires you will have them in relation to serving Krishna and not for your own personal aggrandizement. It's like a very attractive offer. Just surrender to me and you can have everything. And then as soon as you get down and surrender, it's like, okay, now I'm taking everything away. They say, if Krishna likes you, he will give you everything. If Krishna loves you, he will take everything away. Hari means one who takes away.
And ultimately, Vasudeva said when you keep Prabhupada quoted that verse, Krishna, you get Krishna if you surrender to him. He is everything.
He is everything, so that's what you get. You get the supreme happiness, you get the supreme peace, you get eternal life full of bliss and knowledge. What could go wrong? So, therefore, the conclusion is just surrender to Krishna, and then you will see. But if you don't surrender, then you won't see. That's also, you have to surrender. You have to uphold your part of the bargain, and then Krishna will take care of the rest. Divya.
I was just thinking about what exactly is the gold standard? You hear that? The gold standard?
The gold standard originally refers to, in ordinary parlance, that the value of paper money is based upon the gold that the Treasury has in reserve to back it up. All the gold, if I could only have all the gold in Fort Knox. But there is not enough gold in Fort Knox to back up the paper. The paper is supposed to be a representation of the value of that gold. But that is no longer the case. Now it's just a bluff. It's just some paper. And even now there's not longer any paper. It's just some digits on a computer somewhere. Your bank balance and everything like that. So that's the gold standard, that the real value of something is based upon the value of gold. So when somebody refers to something as being the gold standard, that means that it has a very high value.
Right.
And the gold standard of the car is a Mercedes Benz because it's really first class, very well built, and it's also expensive. That's not like a regular Chevy or a Kia or a Hyundai, or a Ford fix or repair daily, found on road dead. It's not like that. No, it's very nice. My father, he liked Mercedes Benz. And he would buy used Mercedes Benz. And so he said, I bought this Mercedes Benz and it has 100,000 miles on it. He said, just broke in. Just broken in, just perfect. It's just now running smooth. And there's some Guinness Book of World Records, some Mercedes Benz, the guy got well over 1 million miles.
Oh, wow.
On the car. He had to maintain it and
I'm
fix
sure you
it.
took care of it.
Yeah, took care of it, rebuild the engine, whatever. So 1 million miles, that's not an old beat up Chevy, for sure. So the gold standard means the best of the best. And you can judge other things by that very nice thing. So Krishna consciousness is the gold standard of religion. Vasudeva Paradharmo. That is the gold standard of religion, of spirituality. And then everything else is beneath that.
Right.
All right, anyone else? Yes, sir.
Is there a difference between abudra, which are inauspicious things in the heart that can be cleared by hearing and
Abhadra.
chanting, abhadra, and anarthas? Or is there a subset?
Abhadra and anartha, same thing.
Same? Okay, that's what I was asking. Thank you.
The words are used in the same way. Abhadra, inauspicious things in the heart. Anartha means unwanted things.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, artha means something which, is considered to be very valuable. Anartha means something which is worthless piece of what.
Originally, I thought anarthas were inauspicious things, but unwanted actually makes more sense.
Same thing, same concept is there. All right, so we stop here. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.